name's Dan Murphy. I run sales operations for ezCater. We currently use HubSpot as our CRM for the sales team, and they were looking for a solution that could integrate text messaging into HubSpot. What they were finding was sales reps were connecting better with prospects via text, and because we didn't have a solution, they were going at it on their own. They were using their own cell phones, right, and texting on their own phones, which nobody was really jazzed about, and also wasn't giving us any insight into what was working and what wasn't working. Some folks were using Google Voice, so they wouldn't have to use their own phone, but still same challenges from a tracking perspective and a learning perspective. So really, from my perspective as a sales operation person, I wanted something that integrated natively into HubSpot. So the integration would be simple. We wouldn't have to use a bunch of API calls or Zapier in order to make this happen, right? Just a native integration. And you guys seem like the best ones out there. And so we trialed it out with a couple of folks, I think 2 or 3 people, saw some success, ran some analytics, rolled it out to a broader team, and are now actually in the process of rolling it out to the entire sales team. The main thing is that it's simple. 2 things, I guess. A, that it's simple to use, so that it's pretty seamless with a rep to be able to use the tool. And then simple on the back end, where it's a simple integration into HubSpot. We didn't have to get the dev team involved in order to create fancy integrations. A pretty seamless integration. So I think those are the 2 big things. And the other thing that I would add, it's important that this connects into our telephony system so that they use the same phone number. So whether you're calling somebody or whether you're texting somebody, the response back from the recipient can be a phone call or a text. Doesn't make a difference, right? It's the same phone number. We did have to work with our legal team. So typical salespeople, I guess, we ran with it first, right? And then we got approval from the legal team to use it. But we wanted to test it out first to see if it was a viable solution, right? Like, does the product do what we need it to do from a sales perspective, which is why we rolled it out with just a couple of people. And then we ran analytics on how they were using it. So A, were people using it, and how often were they using it? And then B, were the responses back, like were the texts back for people that received a text with, was that helping us close deals faster, right? Were we closing more deals and were we closing them faster by using this tool? And when we saw that those things were true, then we went to the legal team and said, okay, we're using this texting tool. We're using it. We're not batch blasting people. It's a one-to-one conversation, with people that are expecting to hear from us. Are we doing the right thing, right? Can we scale this up? Can we continue to use this? And so they took a look at all of our texts. We just gave them a full data download, and then ultimately got their approval to use the tool. So I think that was our due diligence portion of it, right? We had to make sure, did it work, right? And that justifies the cost. And then legally, can we actually use this from a compliance standpoint?
I like your style. I think that's a good way to do it. Otherwise, a lot of times they just nix it out of the gates, right?
Yep.
Show them it works. Show them how you're providing sales so that they're keeping their job as your legal team.
Exactly.
Cool. Did you have any other hesitations about, is this the right move? Should we move forward on this? If not, that's okay. I'm just want to dig a little further.
I didn't really. I mean, it was a pretty simple solution. It's a need that the team had. They could have kept on using their own, texting solutions, right? We wouldn't have had any insight. We wouldn't know if this is working or not. It's hard to train. So it would continue to be super disjointed, but we could keep going that way if we wanted to. But this was a really simple move to make. I think what this does is this allows us to be smarter about how we sell. So I don't know if we would continue to have challenges per se. I think our challenge would be that we wouldn't learn as fast, right? So this allows us to learn better about what are the different ways that we can be communicating with people that can improve our sales cycle and our close rate. I think that's the main, and I think we're finding that it's It's easier for our prospects too. Like this is a channel that they want to use to communicate with us. So we're enabling that for them by using this tool. I mean, it may be a stretch, but I think there's some way to say there that, yeah, there's the possibility that, we would close less deals, right? Because we're able to close deals faster by using texting. I think we're able to report on that now. I think people are using it outside of the tool before. And so we just didn't know if, now we can quantitatively say, yep, this actually improves our close rate. Whereas before we didn't have that data. So I don't know if we're actually closing deals faster or we're not. We just have a way to measure it now. Now, I'm sure if we really dug into it and if we had like a year's worth of data, like we could probably get there. I haven't looked at anything that says, definitively that we would have lost anything by not having this. Getting approval on my end from finance to buy the licenses. From a sales perspective, it's super easy. From an implementation standpoint, it's super easy, right? We have an IT person that we work with that that provides all the phone numbers in the back end for us. Then we work with somebody on the Salesmsg end to connect to the numbers, with Twilio and make the match. So I think, the only quote unquote pain point for the sales team is the 2-minute phone call that they have to have with the integration person from Salesmsg to connect their phone line. And everybody's totally willing to take that 2 minutes. So really, there's no pain point on the Salesmsg end. It's just a standard approval process on the buying end. It's interesting to see how people are working, right? So we typically look at calls connected, and emails, right, as our 3 activity metrics on the sales side. This allows us to have another metric to look at, right? So now it's how are we connecting with folks? What are the connect rates? What are the response rates? And what are the number of activities to close? This just gives us one more data point. Yeah, it's training, right? What's the average number of activities for a closed deal, right? So what should you be doing, right? You are, average number of calls, average number of call connects, average number of texts, average number of emails equals X, right? For a closed deal. You are behind in quota. What does your activity level look like, right? Is your activity level the same as the reps that are, the average amount? Okay, like now we potentially have another thing to talk about, right? It's a conversational thing. It's a closing challenge, right? But it's not an activity challenge. But this is an initial benchmark to take a look at. Does your activity meet what we expected it should meet to close a deal? I worked with a rep to do it. So I looked up, what are our options, right? So just looking in the HubSpot App Store, what are our text messaging options, and was able to find the tool that way. But yep. It only affects the sales team. So the broader company doesn't even know that we use it, right? Except for the people that are paying for it ultimately. So the sales team is pumped, right? They really like it. We've only been running it with a portion of the sales team for a while, and we just got the approval to roll it out to the rest of the team. So the team's been chomping at the bit to get access to this. So everybody is genuinely excited to use the tool. No complaints over the functionality of it at all. Yeah, it's just easier, right? So they can go right into HubSpot and they can text somebody right from the HubSpot website, which makes their job a lot easier, right? Because they're not jumping back and forth between their phone and their computer. And also when they get a text back, it logs automatically for them as an activity. So they have that history there. Not only can they see it, but their peers can see and their managers can see, what the conversations are that they're having. So it just makes their life a lot simpler when they're using their own phone. Nothing syncs into the system. So there's no record of their activity. When they're using Google Voice, same thing, and they're limited with the number of texts they can use. So this just streamlines the process for them. Just, I know they're working on this. This is an enhancement, and they're running a beta now. Analytics are really important, and I've talked about it a little bit. And to be truthful, we get our analytics in a couple of different ways because the reporting feed from sales messages in HubSpot is not perfect, right? We can see that there's an activity there, but we can't really hone in that it's a text. So we're kind of using a coupling of HubSpot and sales message reporting. And sales message reporting currently only goes back 14 days, I think. And so I'd love to be able to open that up to a larger reporting size, right? I'd love to be able to look at different time horizons for different reps or for different roles within sales message, but then even back, if I can get it into HubSpot, where I can get better, activity type reporting from sales message inside of HubSpot would be a game changer for us. September is when we started, and then we rolled out with more people. We started with two or three people in September. We rolled out to 30 people in November-ish, and now we're rolling out to 60 people now. I think it gets everybody on the same page. It creates a level playing ground. So you have some reps that are using it and some reps that aren't, right? And those reps that aren't using it actually feel like they're at a disadvantage, right? They're like, all right, I have the same quota, but these people have a better tool, right? So why don't I have this tool as well, right? So I think it at least in perception levels the playing field, right, for reps. And then from a business standpoint, it gives us a clearer picture of what's going on, right? It gives us that reporting capability, even with what we have today, right? It gives us that reporting capability across the board to see, okay, who's doing what, who's using the tool, how do we optimize the use of the tool, who's really having success, and who's struggling using it, and how do we bring those people up? Yeah, we want reps to be as efficient as possible, right? As efficient and as successful as possible. So if there are people that have found a way to crack the code to sell faster, right, and close more, in part that is by using sales message, then we want to learn that, right? And we want to be able to share that with the rest of the team. And so that's the key, right? It makes their life easier. It allows us to engage with people, in kind of the way that they want to be engaged with. But it also gives us the opportunity to learn what works and what doesn't work.